Good morning. Jump in the pit. Jump on the stream. Call your mom. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. It's another week. It's another week. Just let me know. Does everything sound all right? Look okay? Just before we get going, and then everyone says, nah, man, I can't even hear you. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get this thing going. Let's start off with futures. That's not the future screen. Let me get back here. Futures down across the board, about 0.5% on the average, and then Nasdaq down a little bit more. Definitely helping the Apple straddle, almost 2% on the Apple move. Which, again, for those of you that don't know what a straddle is when you go long and short, and what you're hoping on. You can put a little hope word in there, but what you're planning on is for price to go past the premium of the other side. So we're on the short trajectory. What happens if that snaps back? Well, we're not going to be in that position. We have to take profit very quickly on something like that. When you straddle, you need to go one way. You don't let it go bouncing back and forth. Facebook, short Facebook. Those of you that don't know, Facebook is getting absolutely reamed in from the behind. We posted the let me just start with that because the Nasdaq is pulling back the most. So let's go over this first before we get into anything else, because it's important to realize for what's going on, because I think some of you are going to see some of the the ideas on TradingView is terrible. Some of you are going to see that futures are red across the board, and then rationalize that to get out of everything and think that the market's pulling back because, again, it's a red candle, so red candles are always bad. I want you to conceptualize what exactly is going on here, right? There's 0.5% more, even more than that, coming out of the Nasdaq, right, in tech. What does that mean in relation to our understanding if the trend is towards the upside? It's that the flow right now is that there's a rotation coming from tech into value again, right? Now, what happened last week in the week leading into that? Do you guys remember the whole process? So again, here's Facebook, made the move even from Friday. So I've said it for months now. I think it's just important to realize, because it wasn't so much that I don't like Facebook or something. It's just the chart is disgusting. But if we do come over here, I do want to mention how important it is to understand that there was this rotation into tech a little bit because of this idea that volatility might actually be creeping, right? And so earnings volatility, and then coming off of a very large rally, caused a lot of money to go in there, right? So we saw this, right? We saw this flow out of value, this idea of maybe taking some profit here, and the quickest way to get it filled is to go into growth with the major tech, right? Intermediate tech, whatever it is, something in growth, right? Nasdaq related. And now what we see is a large outflow from the Nasdaq. But what's important to understand is that needs a home, and is everyone, obviously, if you guys look at treasuries, you see that treasury yields are going down as people put more back in there. But we've seen such an outflow of treasuries that, let's just bring it over here. You're actually seeing it like break even now when you look at the yields. There is an inflow going on in bonds right now. This is TradingView not really helping us here show that. But there is an inflow there as the stocks kind of pull back a bit. But we need to keep this in mind, and to maybe not get into that, not like an echo chamber thing, but that whole idea that, we got to pull back here, continuing this pullback, maybe we really weren't getting going. That we need to understand what exactly is going on, right? This here, we knew that tech is not the main primary driver of the market. We know that. And I'm gonna put it into relation with this. Well, then why is AAL up 6.5% pre-market? Why were we able to capture this move so easily, right? If there's money coming out of the stock market, right? Then why would you be in something this risky? right? It's because, again, there's a rotation phase and it happens from week to week, and you can't get sucked into that current, right? It's like a current. Every single week, there's this flow that's going one way or the other. There's times that you can profit on following that flow. And then there's times that you need to kind of go against the flow, but really where is it heading in terms of the long run, which is in this sort of situation where you get the flow, it outflows, but you need to stick with it, right? Stick with it, and then it'll pick you back up. This is a good example of, we talked about this every single day. And also this pattern, Brian mentioned the Sava chart. The Sava chart looks just like this as well, right? I think it's important to understand what exactly this means in terms of this rally and then a tightening leading into another rally, right? I talked about when you get this move, you're going to get a continuation of this, sort of like the continuation patterns I post, but it's not so much a classical idea. It's this rally, a tightening, and then what it wants to price really wants to do is continue this, because there's a whole level of this. When I talk about gravitating towards supply, right, there is all of this supply in here, right, that was created so quickly that there's really this elastic idea, right? And so there's so many tickers. AMC as well. AMC, that's probably a good idea to mention AMC as well, even though it's, part of the meme economy, because we liked it for the same reason, right? We like the AMC trade. Now, it's obviously a little different. We need to understand there's some price in here because of hype. But the difference between the AMC chart and the GME chart, right, was that there's actually a long opportunity here, just like on the AAL chart, right? This wasn't so much just a meme economy hype pop-off. There was actually a long idea, which I talked about. So it would be similar. You would have to remove some of this, because a lot of this here is certainly a part of the hype, because price doesn't do this. This would be what price can do, right? Where you get a long position and then it turns into this instant sort of 2-bar reversal. It just looks extreme, right? But this tightening here would be leading. Now, it doesn't need to do this here because there's so many other factors, which makes this less of a probability compared to when we talk about these charts that look like this, right? Because there's just there's a fundamental difference between the two, right? There is a fundamental difference. Yes, both of them have the ability to retrace to a high, and that's where the value idea comes from. It got beat up during COVID. But there's, of course, a big difference between the largest airline in the United States compared to a movie chain that, has some very meme-esque. There's a lot more memes on AMC than AAL, that's for sure. But I do want to keep in mind that this value idea, why do you think this is up pre-market? That's because there's rotation going into here. Where would you get the money to go put this in here? Well, you'd probably take it from some other equities that are not looking as good, right? More rotation. So as you look at some of these charts, the KSS chart, same idea, right? We talked about retail. Now, I don't know where my trend line went here, but we obviously drew this trend line during intraday and said, oh, you know what? All those retail stores that we've been talking about so much, and we've been talking about convergence in sectors and how all it takes is just for a break and you can go capture it. Well, now look at this chart. It's up 8%. Whether it's news or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't change anything that, based on rules, that these are straightforward trades that we talk about and talk about and talk about, right? You just, discovery, right? What do we do? What do we do over here? We talked about, you know what? Let's take some capital off of some of our other positions and put it onto those positions that we have true confidence in terms of a trend, right? It's never let us down in terms of a trend. And the idea being that the longer it trends, the harder it is for it to break that trend. And there's not this probability of a downside, right? You're never sort of having to calculate a little bit more risk because of a downside move. And so when you put more capital in here, even if you somehow get, let's say in this sort of more volatile area of the trend, even if you somehow got points, put money in here, and somehow you held through all this and you had to break even or you lost some percent, even after that, right, you chalk this up to its consolidation. Price needs to break out, consolidate, break out. And so then you would take the breakout, and there would be no such thing as, oh, you know what, I need to start factoring a risk here. And so even this play here, it's important to realize how a chart like this can get going again. I think a lot of times we expect a pullback for a consolidation without even thinking about the fact that if we trend for so long, that there are consolidations happening. And we actually see this a lot where you get this trend and then a big breakout, right? And then it will return to the trend. This is the velocity that price is on, right? Sometimes you get this, but it's important to see this chart and also to go back maybe and see what we were talking about when we took charts like this, we took trades like this. Viacom is another example, right? In terms of other pre-market action, obviously just travel as a whole, death boat. This again, if this is up another 3% here. So those of you that maybe took profit off or you never even entered the trade and every single day you're watching, for all these trades, it should sting a little. It should sting a little, especially if you lost money on another trade. In terms of these, this again just comes back to maybe it comes back to opportunity cost for yourselves of you take a different trade, so then you can't take the others, and then it becomes sort of a mental block to get back into it. There's sometimes you just gotta. I can't tell you that this is a good trade. I mean, I can tell you, but I can't get you to get into the trade, right? And so if you find yourself in a position where I continue to say this is a good trade, and then maybe I mention another trade and you get into another trade and it doesn't work out, again, this is where there's no convincing that I can do to get you to enter a trade. You need to understand it yourself. And so if you don't understand it yourself, then you won't get into it, right? And so this is where when you think about a move like this, try to go and understand it, right? Try to find a way to find some confidence in these trades and see what you can do next time. Something like this here, again, this price movement here, and we talked about this for a lot of charts. We took this trade here on Friday, right? Talking about almost on every single chart that this idea, this is only this is only like 1.5%. It's at like 15, 17, but is anyone going to be surprised if it then makes a big move here? No. But it's also, again, if you're not in position for this, then you don't get to capture it. So there's no point, right? So there is a point to not looking at charts if you're not going to actually do anything. So I would say for this week, I think a motto for this week is I look at a lot of fucking charts, right? And we have the meme of, hey man, can you just stop posting so many charts? And even I posted QRVO or whatever last night, and I put even more lines on that chart just to piss you guys off a little bit. There's a point where some of you, what you should do is just condense it down. Take it down to like 5 charts and watch those charts, and that's it. That is honestly going to help some of you, and you'll make money. You will make money. No charts, just alerts. Yeah, exactly. But again, the alerts thing doesn't work. The real thing is that the alerts thing doesn't work. That's the actual problem. And I think some of you just want to catch like what other people have for ideas. No, take the chart I post, right? Take the chart I post and find the idea yourself of how you can do it, because it's different for all of us. It's really important to understand that. And some of you that have done very well have done that, right? You take into consideration when I have posted, when I say, but you don't follow what I'm really doing, because they're just completely different things. And you really can catch yourself off guard. I do want to mention, and just getting off sentimental stuff, because whatever. I did just post the NCLX chart. It's a weekly. Again, my weekly charts are log scale. This is, again, a lot of travel looks like this. Now, CCL is basically in the exact same spot, but we've already talked about the breakout on CCL, but you can use this weekly chart as sort of an example for some of the other travel charts, okay? But I just wanted to post it here because we don't have a chart here. So you can use this weekly chart on all of those travel charts that look like this. If you switch it to the weekly, this gives you an idea, that retracement and a timeline. Because we've been talking for a year now of this retracement that's going to happen on the value charts. Here you go. That's what it looks like. Remember I said 100% for most of them? Yeah, here you go. The upper target here is about 100% away to retrace, right? Again, even if you haven't caught in any of these positions, you can still do it. You didn't get this move, right? A lot of you remember this move and you didn't get it. And again, all travel charts, right? Well, guess what? You're going to be able to do it again. So this is again where, okay, it might take a week, it might take 2 weeks. Who knows? You just need to be aware of it so that you can capture it when it happens, right? And now we're in the middle of the move now, right? We are in the middle of a move now, so certainly that needs to be kept in mind. But still, travel and value are where the money wants to be, because it's one of those trades that not only signals to everybody that it's a can't miss trade, and it's also one of those trades, or one of those, when you look at these charts in the whole sector, it's that feeling of I've been here before and I know what it feels like in hindsight to miss a trade. So everyone wants to be a part of it in case something happens, right? And that's where everyone wants to capture a move. And by virtue of everyone wanting to capture something, we actually push the price up, right? That betting, I always talk about this, that betting causes the price to actually increase and make the actual bet happen, right? And so if there's a bunch of people betting for something to happen, it's more likely to happen, right? So you got to keep that in mind, of course. All right, let's bring it to volatility. What do we got? We got 12 minutes. Volatility here, starting elevated. Of course, futures down a little bit. This is going to be an important move to follow here. We're up 9.5%. Now, we love volatility in terms of everything. So for long positions, this of course helps, but we need to be aware of what this is signaling, right? This is the first time we've opened up here in quite some time. Now, we are buyers in most situations here, right? Now, if you're not in position, though, we are going to be watching the dollar in relation as well. The dollar is down here. So as of now, that volatility means buy. Based on what we know, again, that doesn't mean just buy whatever you want based on support, breakouts, the same as usual, right? In following those charts that are recent breakouts that are looking very bullish. So we are, until something changes on the macro level. Now, again, treasuries are getting a little bid, so we need to be watching that flow. But based on what we see here, unless there's a breakdown, we are business as usual going towards the upside. And that's, again, where we just know it's tech. It's tech. None of us are, besides my Apple position and the Amazon position that we took, we haven't been trading this along with Tesla. And I'm going to show you the Tesla chart in a second. We've been trading this shit for months, right? So if you find yourself that this is what you're trading, well, I don't know where you've been, but besides the times we took this Amazon trade here, we had to sell it on Friday, and then the Apple straddle, and then the Tesla trade. I think we tried to attempt it over here, right? We took it on the low over here and tried to push it, but it fell down. We've been talking about how bad mega caps have been for a while. Tech has been, right? And so I've been talking about shorting this for a while. We talked about shorting it here. Been talking about shorting Facebook, shorting Apple. These kind of moves, again, shouldn't be a surprise. So if some of you are getting caught off guard on some of these, you're just not looking at it. I don't know what you're looking at, right? I just don't know what you're looking at. For the Tesla chart, this dotted line is the local support because the true support's way down here. So this would be like a last-ditch effort if it actually comes down in here. Again, this is on its path. It's making sense. In terms of what this does to EVs, it's going to be really interesting because we don't really know how to. I've been categorizing EVs as a bit of a value play. It's not a value it's not a value sector, but we have been considering a part of those in terms of flows. So we need to be watching this, and again, we want to be all over this Ford chart here. It's getting into a really nice consolidation. It's very close, I would say, in terms of supply and demand. This tightening here, if all of that demand, again, this is doing well because all the demand is coming from Tesla, then you could definitely see maybe a bit of a correlation to if some of those large EVs start to sell, it comes in here because of an understanding of convergence again, right? We're seeing convergence across the market. That means points are going to be taken off the top of somewhere else to be put on another chart that might, in terms of its relation, be a little bit behind, right? It really is a little bit behind. And so we got to keep that in mind. And again, I mean, do not get sucked into the I like the stock, so I'm just going to keep trading it one way. You need to be able to trade both ways. And if you can't, then don't go long on something that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be putting anything in, right? There's the positions, like going into Tesla. There's no reason to. There's absolutely no reason to. So chill, right? Chill. Now, in terms of from the open, we are certainly watching to see the market go bid, and we want to see it again on the value side. If not, then of course we need to be reacting to that. We've got this trend line on every single index. And so this line here, it's on every single one of them. That's what we're going to be watching. That's what we're watching. Now, in terms of the SPY, we are opening about right in here. Again, there is trend lines in here. You can see it with these wicks in here, right? I just don't want to draw another 5 freaking trend lines, but we know where it is. We can see when price reacts. We're going to be watching for that first 15 minutes or so to get some direction. In terms of entering new positions, I'm not going to enter anything unless I see the market getting demand. I'm going to be patient this morning. So this morning is going to be patient, but I'm certainly, if I see that sort of that 15-minute candle, we talk about the 5-minute candles. One, let me show you on the just to like get. So if we start, let's say we start. Here's one 5-minute candle, 2 5-minute candles, and then the third one's going like this. During that third 5-minute candle, getting to that 15-minute, that's where I'm going to start to go, okay, I'm going to start to increase sizing and everything, and taking advantage of some of those lows. In this time, if this is what the market average looks like, then I'm not going to be taking breakout trades on other charts unless this is the market as a whole. And again, the market being, if it's a value chart, then I'd be looking at the IWM chart, right? If this is going up, then I'm okay taking any trades that are linked to this, any idea of value. And then if it's more intermediary tech and the like, then I'm going to be watching this to make sure that we're at least getting some demand, because I don't want to be buying just because one chart looks good and then get kind of cucked on the back end, where during lunch, if we get a pullback, I'm having a hard time getting out of those positions. So be a little bit more patient this week. We put on a lot of positions. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty still in the market over here, right? We've talked about it. There's a lot of uncertainty here. I would still say the overall trend is pushing towards all-time high by the end of the week. It's very, again, in terms of this chart here, it's very hard to remove that idea based on what we see. So again, even if you get some pullbacks here to start the week, that's what we do. Green Friday, red Monday. Give it to us. I'm all for a red Monday today to be buying, because again, I don't like to buy when it's a green candle. I don't want to buy when price is 2% higher. I want to buy when it's 2% lower. So again, shed that mentality that, oh God, oh geez, I hate the color red. Embrace it, right? Embrace it while everyone else is, think about it. You're on a school field trip and you're the only one that didn't shit their pants. That'd be pretty good. I'd tell my mom, hey mom, everyone else shit their pants. I didn't. You proud of me? Like, nope, that's a pretty normal thing not to shit your pants. So again, it's normal. We're not going to be praising anyone for their ability not to shit themselves here, right? When you make a big gain, we're going to celebrate it, right? We will celebrate it. So I think that's what we got. Let me see what. Are we closing the open position and buying X or something? That's up to you guys to decide. What do you guys want to do with that open position? I think we are opening green. Green open. Oh, just kidding. It's at 30.68. You guys want me to sell that position or what? We get 4 minutes to decide. It's up to you guys. Oh yeah, now I see it. Now it's down. What do you guys want? I'm not doing anything unless you say so. I'm not sure if that's... Let me see. Let me poll it. I'm going to poll it. I'm going to poll it. Vote real quick. Sell. Hold. Oh my God, what happened? Wow. Technology. Technology these days, I'll tell you. Did I do something wrong? How the hell do you do this? Okay, you guys type it in the chat. I ain't got time for this shit. Sell it open? Stop it out at open? Okay. Jesus Christ. Somebody fix that thing. I wish I had someone who could do this for me. All right. You guys let me know what you want to get into after that then. All right? Doesn't need to be immediate. You guys let me know. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. What do we got? We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. You guys can. We don't need to enter something immediately. You guys figure it out. I'll figure out how to do a poll after. We'll vote for what the new position will be. I'm really. It would be great if this thing just jacks up like 20% from the open, and you guys are just wrong again. I don't think this account's ever gonna make money, but at this point, all right. In terms of our relation of this chart, because a lot of us took the trade. Again, this is at 30.71. You're going to be on top of the trend line. If you entered down here, then you'd still be in the position until break even. If you entered over here, obviously you're getting stopped out because of the support here. I would not remove the idea of re-entering though. I think what's going to happen, you're going to get a whip. And again, this is going to be a tightening. You don't know which day it could explode again. You got to be watching this. This chart's going to probably take off again, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. A lot to watch this morning. There is a lot to watch this morning, so we'll see how much we can talk about. All right, we'll put on the SPY chart. Take a look. Again, a little bit of patience today, guys, okay? Figure out what's going on here. Yeah, winners. Got a couple winners in the chat here. How many people are in win? Everybody. Everybody's at the win. Again, we got a whole week ahead of us. Listen, we got a whole week ahead of us. Some of you are cashing out some gains. You don't need to make another winner or make up your losers immediately. You've got your entire life, okay? You don't need to force a miracle right now, okay? Chill. Oh, buddy. Oh, those numbers look good. Anybody looking at those travel numbers? Oof. Don't look at the options, boys, if you're not in. You missed it? Don't look at it. You will FOMO. All right, we're starting pretty bid here. What are we doing? Are we doing 70 on Sava today? SPR 42.5. I think in terms of what would be a good day for those travel charts is to I would give it like if it breaks even, that would be incredible. Considering the day. So if it does more than that, then I mean, see ya, right? Okay, what do we got here? M is going, so again, looks like there's some big boy orders going on M. Hard to tell what's going on in the book there. A bunch of orders coming on off and on. Everything holding very well on our value side. It looks really good. Let me bring you over to this chart. You can see this very bid start. I think you're gonna get some. I mean, we need to see confirmation, but you're certainly, what you're looking like is, it's not gonna be dicking around flat today. That's for sure. Wonder if we'll keep volatility we're so correlated to the downside that volatility only moves if the market's moving down, and it doesn't do it the opposite way. But we might get some elevated volatility. Q's opened up on its support. Oh, God. There's a... I mean, again, intermediary tech and anything else that's not mega caps, this is just like your perfect time. It's almost too good to be true there. That's just, I mean, again, that's just disgusting. The perfect support buy. Again, you can't, I don't even know. You can't convince yourself things because of stories. You know, be patient this morning, but again, come 15 minutes. If we're going one way, then don't jinx yourself. Retail stores look very good. Continuing. Again, recent breakout charts looking the best. Certainly looking the best. And again, if anything's just holding value and is break even, then that's a bullish chart. That's the reality. It's a bullish chart. There's a lot of charts holding value that are going to put some points on here. Disney. Bring it over here. Really what we're watching. Give us direction. Give us direction. Where is, let's see. Let me show you. Again, anything moving against the average right now, right? It's going to be, we need to see like another 10 minutes here, right? But if we're seeing the market go one way and other tickers go the other way, it's because, again, demand is, we have something going on with flows where capital's coming out of one area to go to another, right? We need to be aware of when that's continuing to happen on a day, because again, we're not crystal ball reading. We're just reacting. Gonna be watching this derivative, right? So we opened here. Doesn't matter what the open is. It's what the movement is here. So again, we're using the derivative chart and not the spot VIX, because spot VIX is just terrible to use. We use it as a benchmark for these moves. And so, for instance, if this chart does not go and it just comes down, well, then there's no actual volatility, because no one's actually. If there is going to be volatility, then these will be moving first. This is going to dictate the movement. So very important to be having these charts sort of, if you're in larger positions, you need to be looking at this constantly, right? So you need to have this chart somewhere, the volatility chart somewhere. SKT looking good. Oh yeah, underboss is lagging, huh? Little bit of lag over there, apparently. I post those polls and now it's a bunch of shit coming at the same time. Viacom continues. Again, this move is it literally just what we just talked about, right? Where you get a trend and then you get a breakout coming out of the trend. It's really important. I mean, again, some of you are trying way too hard to make things work when you could just have a continuous position, right? It's like me trying to force something to work when obviously you can't allocate more than a certain amount to a chart, but again, let's just be honest. If you don't have any allocation to some of these charts that are really obvious, well then what are you doing? Right? Like the X trade from Friday. It's like yeah, I can't put my entire portfolio here, but it's a no-brainer, right? There isn't even a question. Half all of you that took this trade, you knew there was no question about when you took this trade. You haven't even probably looked at it. You don't even care. But just as a point, right? Taking this trade from any Friday, we actually don't even care. We again, and you can't put your whole portfolio here, but you can allocate a larger percentage still to these trades. And I think sometimes we just kind of we try to look for novel ideas and instead of just like going with what works. Again, how many times have we talked about this trade from every Friday and we just put the trade on and it's just it, right? It's just that's it. If this chart comes up, to the resistance, gets rejected, we'll do the same thing we did here, right? Take profit, look for the next one. We're of course looking for further upside here, but again, it's important to be able to, and again, this matters on your portfolio side and capital size, but it's important to always be a part of those trades, right? You got to always be a part of it. And if you don't have enough capital to be a part of multiple positions, then just take one of those trades, right? And that's the only one you need to worry about. And then once you make more money, you can worry about other positions that may or may not work. In terms of on the loss side, let's see. We have any red to take advantage of here? Possible. Yeah, I think Chinese tickers. Since we got stopped out of those are possibilities. But tech is the problem, right? Tech is the problem. So China's all tech. So I think maybe we remove that for a little while. We're gonna watch that Z move, see how that starts. See how that next position gets thrown at us. Yeah, all of the tickers that are taking off some points today, we're certainly going to be more patient on this week, but they definitely present opportunities. Something like Z, definitely Chinese tickers, but we need to see when that tech rebound sort of happens. But it looks very good so far, right? In terms of what we were just discussed at pre-market. Roku's that's a good call out there. Yeah, the MGM chart, guys. The MGM chart I only post because of you guys, because I'm happy with trading the other ones, but you guys mentioned that one so much, so it's there. Like it's there now, so you know. Good call outs. Those of you that are just looking at the chat, those are definitely good call outs so far. I got shit I'm doing, so I'm just trying to get through the open. Let's see. Where did you guys get stopped out on open? You guys got oof. I think you guys got beat up. 234. You guys got beat up. You guys lost. The account balance is now at 2374. We started at 3200. We're at 2374. Jeez, guys. Hold over the weekend, they say. Yep, and C Trader's gonna keep showing that he said sell. Him and Wiz, the only ones. Those are also the two people I would imagine would sell before. They're the only consistent ones that be like, you know what? Fuck that. We're not even break even anymore. We're 10% down. Why would we stay in that position? I do find it actually hilarious, by the way, before we talk about what's going on here, that I talk about so much here that if your options are down in red, only if it's from the profit, like you're up 10% and then you lose 5%, that's not the red we're talking about. But if from your entry point you're down, you always sell. You guys were 10% down and said, nah, fuck it, it's fine. We don't even need to sell at break even and buy lower. We'll just hold the 10% loss over the weekend. All you had to do was sell and then rebuy at a lower price. Nah, dude, fuck that. Who cares? And then some of you convinced yourself to screw up your own position over the weekend because you voted hold on the open position. it's gonna be a very interesting case study, that's for sure. To find out, I can't wait to see the next trade. If someone has an idea, let me know. I'll put it in there. If there's something right now that the account should buy, let's do it. Because again, we have let's take a look at what we're seeing right now. Right, we're developing our last sort of the 15-minute candle here. Look at this move in here. Right, this is even on the SPY here. Excuse me, this is IWM here. If you go look at the SPY here, you can see that this is certainly leading towards more bid. Right, certainly leading towards the bid side. You know, from open to now here's this, that's higher, so it might be a little slower, but again, you're posting higher lows. You haven't posted a higher high yet here. You get a minute and 40 seconds or so on this candle. I mean, we'll see where this kind of comes down to, if it's going to be break even or not, but I think based on you look at volatility here, you're sort of looking at the opposite. You just gotta, this will most likely lead. If we take a look at the dollar, there's going to be some finicky things going on with the dollar, I would say, because the treasuries will watch this in terms of flows. If this starts to drop very quickly, then I would say that's treasuries coming back into the equity market, and it'll lead it. And we might actually get the classic. You see the gold jumping right now. What do I always talk about in terms of the natural flow of things? Money comes out of the dollar, goes to gold, and then goes to the equity market. That's the classic situation. So you're seeing that now. So those of you that are like, ooh, yeah, my gold's up, that's just the flow, right? That's the flow to go back to the equity market. So I say we're going bid, boys, so get that buy button out. Get that buy button out. If you don't have one, you got to get one. Some of you don't know where it is. Where's your broker? Find him. Pick up the landline. All right, Wiz has got the first suggestion. Buy M1617's March monthlies. I don't know, boys. That sounds... I mean, I'm not going to give any. I cannot interfere with the votes. But we have been talking about these charts. It's an interesting vote. I think you guys can decide when things go to a vote, so I'm not going to do it anymore. If no one decides to do anything, then we don't need to do anything. It's completely okay. Completely okay. Fuck off with the March contract, says Ecto. Exactly. Yeah, this chart I do want to mention, since I don't think everyone saw that chart. I did post the NCLX chart in the chat just this morning. I did not post it over the weekend because I was... Sometimes I do have another chart I'm going to mention a little later that I fucked up on. Maybe you guys can learn something from that, from my own mistakes. The SID chart. Maybe I'll just do it now, but this is happening, so I would, again, recommend just to look. If you didn't look, definitely take a look. This chart over here, I know it's down here now. Wait, which chart did I want to talk about? Is it this one? It's not SID, is it? Yeah, it's SID. What I was going to say is that I was going to post a pennant here on Friday or Thursday night. I was going to post a pennant here on Thursday night, right? A pennant, the rally, the pennant, and then it did 4% the next day. So if I posted it on Thursday night, we could have captured a 4% gain on Friday. But when I was looking at the pennant here from Thursday and I was going to post it, I drew the lines and everything. I was like, we already have two steel companies that we're looking at, X in the CLF chart. I'm like, we have X and CLF, and this isn't even, there's some like silly things about this chart, and I'm like, it's kind of a smaller company, and we get some Spanish letters up here. I'm like, you know what? We won't post it. And then Friday happened, and this whole move occurred, and I would have captured that, because I would have been like, oh, we've got a break. It's a perfect entry. And I looked at the contracts and I was like, shit. Damn. So, that was a mess up, but let's see what happens here. Very close. So again, this is within the move that we've seen on all of the charts, right? Comparatively. Right? Look at our big boy. Look at that boat go. Get on that death boat, baby. Where are they going? They're taking the death boats to the wind, baby. To MGM. Maybe go see a movie at AMC. Oh, go to GameStop real quick, pick up a couple. What are you gonna go to GameStop for? What a fucking waste. Um, take the plane, boys. Travel, retail, stores, guys. Value. Do you see it? Do you want to make money? Well, guess what? You are. You've missed half the move. But listen, you could get on the next half of the ride. Brian creaming over the Disney move. Let's bring it back. What do you think this one's doing? You guys remember the relation to the other move? The classic SeaWorld leading the goddamn Disney chart. What did we say? Convergence, baby. Free Willy leading his Disney brethren. It's really easy to sleep and to act like, well, this chart is such a joke that, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's just kind of a fun meme that it's moving. I would not remove the idea that some of these ideas of convergence, even on a chart as silly as that, right? Travel as a whole is converging, so of course this is Disney. Do you guys think Disney's moving because of Disney Plus or because of the idea of theme parks and everything else opening? Streaming numbers? No. Disney Plus hasn't even made fucking money yet. They're still not even making money. I'm sure there is a part of it there, but a lot of this is because of the travel move. So again, we don't do fucking fundamentals, but in terms of why people are buying, we need to also know why people are buying for the fundamental ideas. They're not doing it because of the streaming numbers. They already did it because of the streaming numbers, right? This is all because of convergence with travel. It's important to see that if there is a move, it's because of travel, right? Sono, I don't even need to look at that chart. I already know what it looks like. This can be interesting, really interesting in here. Let me just show you on the dailies. See where these candles are? Hmm, seems like opportunities. We've had opportunities all these days. If we're willing to listen. If you're willing to buy up here, right? Then you're certainly willing to buy down here. Okay? It doesn't need to continue, but in terms of options and what we're trading, we're not tied into a position. Even if we buy here, if it starts to reverse, we can get out of it, right? And still gain on an exponential there. There, look at this chart. Higher low still. There's a lot going on here that, you know, really easy to get sleepy on. Sleepy Joe. Look at all these travel charts. Hmm. I'm actually a little surprised that this is holding up here so well. Considering the last move, I was very ready to take some off here, but haven't had to yet. I'm pretty ready. I've got my fingers on all the buttons. Semiconductors. We've got all kinds of. Let's see. What can I talk about? We have a couple different things going on with semis. Let me bring it over. You start to look through. Excuse me. You start to look through some of these. I think some of you're getting some opportunities, of course, when you think about what's going on here, like Nvidia. See it moving. MRVL. Let's see what Brian's MRVL's at. Dojied. Again, copycatting AMD. Some of these charts are, right? Copycatting AMD. This is junk. Leave it alone, boys. But guess what? You do have some charts that, even though this is looking like it, guess what? It's like 30% higher than AMD, and it was on a trend. So that's an opportunity. Nvidia, again, it's breaking right there. You saw it. ESM chart still looks good. What did I want to talk about? What is? Let's just put this on. What is the other? But again, Nvidia is like going. Like now it's up. It's up. It's already up another 65 basis points since I said so. Um, those charts are just the demand hogs, right? Demand hogs. And still this week we're still doing the healthcare and then short-term bio plays as well, right? So keep those in mind because those go at any time, and again those ones are just being prepared for as many charts as possible. And you start to see the move, okay, we go with it. You don't need to be perfect on those, right? Those are good examples of charts that you miss a few percent, no worry, get back and get into it in a little bit. There's a Sono chart for anyone wondering, coming up to the high. Again, look at that move. Look at that move. You got a flat top here, trend line converging towards it, ascending continuation triangle vibe over there. That means points in the future, right? REITs, right? Again, REITs have been making the same move, one-way train. Travel, all of it. Banks. What chart were we just looking at right there? What was that? NLS? Yeah, look at that one. Again, these Nikola, we'll see how much that's tied into Tesla, GM, and CLH above. Did we get the bounce? Attempting the bounce on the support. Oh, see you later. See you later. Oh, buddy. If we are about to double up these travel positions, I think we got to book. We got to book a flight. That chart's gone. That chart is gone. These travel charts are gone. Give me a second. I gotta make a call. 1 sec. See ya. She got on the plane and left. See you later. Boys, stop watching price. Okay, couple things. Discovery trendline. This is like the first time in a while that we're gonna have to. Well, it's the first time ever on this chart that we've had to talk about this. This is a whole. I mean, I don't even know. It's a whole new game up here, based on our understanding. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's no levels. There's nothing we can talk about. That's the last line of defense in terms of last line of defense. So at this point, yeah. So JJR says like discovery earnings. So these kind of things. The only thing that's going to be affecting this now is some sort of event, something, right? So transitions are the first step, and then you see ya. I mean, at this point, if this is gonna hold above that level, it's just gonna continue for fucking ever. To be honest with you, until something actually changes. Do you guys want? Do you guys want to buy this right now? I'm gonna put these two. I'm gonna. There needs to be a majority though. Needs to be a majority. I only see 2 people in there. Everyone else is. We're trying to trade our own damn positions right now. Go fuck. All right. We do need to discuss this a little bit. The AAL trend line comes in at 21. There's whether you're transitioning here or not really depends on what you bought, right? So you need to make that decision. You got to make the decision. NCLH, okay. Okay, buy it. Got a few. Got a few more. I'll load it up. I think we need a couple more votes. And you guys want the long-termers. You guys want the big Juners. The 30 Juners? Okay. You say so. You sure you want the Junes? Okay. June monthly 30. All right. That sounds pretty deep. All right. Okay, that's 4. Yep. All right, I got you guys going. I do need to do a calculation here. How much do you guys can afford? You guys can afford almost 6 contracts. We'll do 5. Yep. Hello. F. A lot of things going on. Definitely a lot of things going on. Again, this move, not surprising yet. We are watching this trend line here, right? This idea through here, like $12, right? You just call it $12. A lot. There's so many different. You know what we really have here is there's a lot of price movement that's not connected again. So it's important to realize that we have demand just sort of picking and choosing. There's a lot of active trading going on, right? And we can tell that because it's not like specific. I mean, there are some sectors obviously, but there's a lot of tickers that are just being chosen, right? And that's investors, traders choosing to select a certain ticker and trade it, buy it, right? This, again, you get to be, this will, it's very easy to look at these and not understand the amount of percent there. This is a 2% candle here. This is already turning to a very wide spread. You get this. This is see you later, senorita. Couple of the Casas. All right, we're not getting filled on that. Let me do this real quick for you guys. You guys' account's a little finicky. Little finicky. Okay, let's go through the chat. What do we got here? Celsius, love, down to resistance, down to support, you mean. In the channel, again, these charts coming, this one was certainly on a different schedule. That's why I waited till the actual break occurred for that chart. Post that. MYOV. There's so much. Yeah, that's a great call out. Great call out. I mean, look at that, right? We had the downside potential, turning it into a whip towards the upside. A lot of volatility in there. Dish. Yeah, I mean, Dish from the open, right? There was some, oops, sorry guys. There was like earnings or whatever, right? I mean, that's certainly a good setup there. That pull back and then look for the next move. Okay, you guys are filled with five June monthly 30s on NCLH. Not the greatest price though. Not the greatest price. Your account's a little shit. But you guys are in, so see how that goes. They're, like, the price is all fucked up on that chart. If you guys go look at those contracts, I don't know if you probably see us filled up there. That those ticks that are up there, it's kind of not the greatest. That's for sure. If it was earlier, it would have been so much better. But we go with what you guys give. And if it's so fucking long term that who cares? It's like $20, $30. Oh, good job. Those of you that didn't want that play, well, we'll find out if you're right. It's already the end, huh? It's already coming back down. Okay, in terms of CCL, we've got 29 or so today. 30 comes by next week. So we don't really have anything here, but we have nothing. The next level is the trend line. It's the trend line. There's no supply in here. The chart, look at the chart. The next resistance level is up here. And this is why these charts are there's so much value here. That move during February, when these charts pulled back, they never generated any levels because it moved down so fast. So it never created any supply, right? It never converged anywhere. It might be a tiny bit here and then, like 31 something, but that's it. Everything else has moved. That's why it would move so quick between here. And it is, look at it. It is. This is what every chart's going to do. That's why we loved value the whole way. We wanted to get a part of these because, and sometimes early, because the moves are just, it's just too much. Just too much. A lot on the table. JetBlue's a little bit closer to that February high since it did very well over here, and it never really lost as much. That one will definitely slow down a little bit sooner. Save looking great. Save has got that next resistance level right up here, right? This is almost retraced as well. Important to remember the difference between some of these charts. Some of these have retraced. We've captured the largest part of the move already, right? Some of you looking at this chart and going, holy shit, I didn't even realize that we had that many points here. Yeah. When I talked about it every day, yeah. That's where it is. This is the chart there. So we'll see what the reaction is here. The next one is 41.11 above 37.70. So again, this is all happening very quickly, but we've been talking about it for fucking weeks. So all right, let's see what else you guys are talking about. KSS, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know at this point. SPRA, interesting. I would like to see a little bit more. This chart's fucking wild. The other REITs are much further ahead, so this one certainly could be convergence. Got a couple different ideas in there. This could certainly be quite the explosion through here, right? It's on the same trend line in here. It's going, right? That's going to be a move like the rest of them. It's just win. It's a matter of win. PLNT, of course, we've been talking about the move, and it actually didn't break through here. We have to actually think about putting a level in here because it got stuck there last week, and we talked about that move from here happening and then here happening. This is consistent, though, so if it comes back down to support, certainly looking for that trade again, and then the next move on the top. I mean, this move at least shows itself through its levels, right? There is not really many surprises at this point. Yeah, EVs across the board getting whacked. Again, this was another opportunity from the trend line, bring it back down. Certainly, just like the Tesla chart. I mean, all the EVs really doing the same. The big boys. Again, why we talked about, okay, we take this trade, and then as soon as nope, get out. And obviously, a lot of different opportunities on the short side. I know not everyone's a big fan of that, but the 10 chart coming through the converging supply levels, right? Resistance on the trend line and the horizontal. Again, most recent charts being the most bullish still. Good example of something here. And I do want to mention that this is a part of that very strange sector of like car parts and everything else, the auto parts and everything, like PRTS, all of the different rental car things. I don't think anyone still really understands why that's a thing. There is no answer, so we don't need to find the answer other than knowing to trade the charts when there's a break. Because when there's a break, for whatever reason, whether it's algos, I don't know if it's algos that for some reason are looking at these charts as a whole, like they're sectored together, but as soon as there's a break of supply, they all jump on it. So we've been doing this trade for a year now, right? For a year. Look at that. That's all you need to see right there. That's all you need to see right there for indication of the week so far. Come on. Uh-oh. Trading view. There you go. Good job. I think we need to upgrade our... I sent TradingView an email because we did max out on the amount of charts that we can have. Apparently, when you reach 15,500 drawings on TradingView, that's the limit. You can't have more than 15,500, which I find kind of, rookie numbers. I don't know if I have the most drawings, but when that warning message came up, I sent him an email, so see if we can get that bumped up a little. Or like I'll pay for more data or something, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. I had to go find charts to delete. And I deleted a bunch of like lines that, trend lines that we had. Probably that's why that KSS line wasn't in there, right? So it's not by charts, it's by drawings. So it's by like how many drawings you have. So each one of these would be a drawing. So 15,500 is the limit. You could have one drawing on 15,500 charts, symbols, right? GME, yeah, let's take a look, because obviously there's all kinds of things going on. Let's see if we can get some technicals. It did bounce on our trend line on the 5 minute, which is a little disturbing. Let me see if we can get... Fuck, I hate this chart. Okay, hold on. Let me zoom this goddamn thing out. I wish I could just get this to zoom already by itself. Okay, when would we take this trade? It would need to... I mean, it's consolidating very well over here. Let me log it. Let's log it. See, this can... I mean, what does this look like, right? It's the same idea. If it breaks through this level of supply, we have all these... I have all these lines in here because that's sort of... that zone we need to be very aware of. So these... that 53 area. If it comes into there, then we'll consider the move up here, because it won't even be the memers, right? At that point, it's just purely technical and supply driven at that point. So, and then again, that 63.74 is the previous all-time high from years back. So, it's entirely possible that you do it without the memers. They don't even need to get together and try to go push it. They could just naturally form into doing it, right? So, just like the AMC, these trades do not sleep on it. BBY, the same thing. If you're not looking at these charts because of they're a meme, then go look at the other charts that look like this, right? Then go trade these charts, right? Because again, you have to be willing to trade this stuff, even though it's up so much, right? You have to remove that, oh, it's already up so much mentality. Again, all of the car part things, right? Goodyear, GT. I don't know where the lines are on this chart either. Thank you, TradingView. Thank you. 15,500. Thank you. What am I paying you for? But again, all of these auto parts stores and things like that. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting, and again, something to be a part of. And again, these are things that we've been talking about for a long time. I don't need to bring them up every day, but, I do want to mention them every now and then. All right, as we go through, gold obviously popping with the dollar breaking down. I'm going to bring up the dollar chart in a second. I do want to bring up, JGR mentioned tallow. Obviously, we just mentioned this chart. Friday bounced on the support, still above the trend line, this move, of course, you're looking for. Again, this sort of energy... the energy sector itself... we're on the log scale. Okay. The energy sector itself, we've talked about so much. All you needed to know was what I talked about here on XLE, and some of you are still, doubters. Doubters, and I think sometimes when I talk about a long-term macro idea, you just want the short-term gains, the here and now, and you sometimes... forget that it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes your trade, you're going to enter it and nothing's going to happen for a few days. But if the plan is for a long term, then you need to remove the part of you that says, "Oh, my trade's not doing anything. I need to get out of it." If the plan on the trade is to push it to long term, then you can't let the short term part of your brain tell you to get out of it and then go lose money on another trade, right? You got to stick with the idea, and a lot of the times it's really simple stuff, and it's just you over managing a trade, right? And I think, I mean, I do it all the time because I enter as many positions as possible, and so there's times I'm like, it's not moving, and I'll get out of it, and then it will start to move, and then I need to get back into it. But at least I have that trigger to get back in right after I sell. You got to find that. Definitely have to find that. But we'll see here. We'll see here. Russell's interacting with the trend line right now, right? Let's see if this is a bounce on the trend line or if it's just whipsaw on the day. Could definitely get a whipsaw. We'll see what we get here. There is a lot of support in here, so horizontal, and yeah, there's a look at the 2-bar reversals from over here. If this breaks through here, then for the day, that's not a good sign for the day. If it breaks through that, I would say. So Phibbs has mentioned the cake trade. Obviously a very nice trade, again, tied to value, just retail stores, right? Retail stores in towards that restaurant side is also a good mention, part of that. We talked about that very recently as well. The Shack trade, Dirty Denny's before that. The Yum C chart, right? Also tied into Asia. Those different type of charts have been very good. Very straightforward, right? There aren't, look at the trend on this chart. Like, it barely moves. If it's breaking, it's breaking, right? Very straightforward trade that, you don't need to make, you're not going to become a millionaire on this chart, but if you make 1 million of these trades, you will be a millionaire. Maybe not 1 million, but 1,000. You make that trade 1,000 times, you'll be a millionaire, right? Yeah. That's the goal. Make 1,000 good trades. Couple bad ones. Couple bad ones mixed in there. Okay. Where are we going on our GE chart? Our aerospace, our A&D charts, right? TFEN opening lower, the gap from the thing here. Why is this? Because this is the leveraged ticker, right? This is the leveraged one, so that one's going to gap like a maniac. So you got to be able to, if you're in the DFEN one, first of all, you should be trading the individual tickers. If you're in this one, then you've come prepared. You know that thing's going to whip back and forth and jump around. Look at the damn candles. The 3x, it benchmarks, right? Let's see. There's a lot in the break-even part, break-even area that I want to get a part of, that's for sure. Oh, God, these charts. What are we going to do with all these charts, guys? AL on the 5-minute looks like they took off from Denver this weekend. Seems like it might return to the airport. Let's take a look at Wiz's incredible analogy here. Okay. Okay. An elevation joke. A Denver elevation joke. The Mile High City. What an absolutely great metaphor. I don't think I've ever heard that before. That's quite the fucking onion of a joke right there. Holy moly. Wow. Oh, God. Should have picked Wiz's trade. Just because of the joke. We got filled at 4:45, by the way. No. You guys were a little too late. Yeah, 4:40. I mean, it's fine. We're up. You guys are up right now 6%. You guys are up 6% already, so you guys have you're here. Oh, I forgot to put the screenshot in. Sorry, guys. Let me put this in for you guys. Let me take a bigger picture for you as well, so you can see the whole thing. What's the best way? I guess you guys can. You're fine with the little thing. I can't fuck up my screen for you guys. Let me just put it into chat. It's cute. It's good. I think you guys are. I think that's a good one. I think June is a little lengthy for you guys, but you could capture the move now and just get out of it. But you guys want the lengthier one? That's up to you. Okay, here's. You guys can see the open trade as well. Cute. Yeah. Is this you guys? Yeah, there you go. There's your port, boys. Open trade, not the greatest. Not the greatest. But I think you're gonna make all of those losses back today. I mean, you might have already cleared it, so. Oh god. I'm glad I posted the chart now and didn't keep it to myself, because I've been very hesitant on posting those weekly log charts. I haven't posted one in a couple months now. Yeah, because like I posted I post the OSTK chart and then people lose money on it, right? People lose money on it and then it becomes a problem. Let me delete some of these. We were talking about gains. But I post this chart and then, people are losing money for a week because not understanding that it's a weekly chart. And then it goes up 100% and then no one gets it until later. It's like there's a point where it's like it's not helpful to post some of these charts because they promise something that that's so far away in terms of our understanding, right? But look at this chart. I mean, yeah. But look when I posted it though. This was posted on 11/27. That's this candle here, right? So this candle here, and so for the weeks that it goes down and continues until it makes its breakout, right? We only trade breakouts, but it's counterintuitive to what we talk about. But this is obvious. Like most of us here can see this and just take the trade when it's time, and you get some millionaires in chat, right? 110% right now. Like it's intuitive, but it's not intuitive in the beginning stage here where you got to wait. And so I've been pretty hesitant on the weekly charts because I don't think it works with everybody here very well. We lost money on OSTK? No, we didn't lose money on OSTK, that's for sure. For the weekly log scales, the reason being is if we go to the weekly chart here, you look at this chart on the weekly, what actually starts to happen is it skews, and so what actually is going on here is that as the price increases, the supply is not changing, but the price is basically overtaking supply, and so these candles do not show you supply. Like if you try to draw the trend lines on the weekly chart without on the linear scale, the actual problem that's occurring here is that the price is actually sort of leading supply. It's actually not even really supply and demand now. The equation is actually demand and price. And then that gives an answer to supply, but that's actually wrong. And so when you log it, if you see the ratio here, the ratio from supply and demand here to here is so drastically different because of price that price is actually the dependent variable. And we don't want price to be the dependent variable here. That's the issue. And so what we do is when we log it, we can actually understand trends with supply and then see what the demand with that supply, with that liquidity is going to make for a price. And that's how we can then target and everything else. But you can see how much cleaner it is to see the trend here. That's what the trend was. But since it's coming out of Pennyland over here, it's very hard to understand. And even just in here, very hard to understand if you put it on the linear scale what this exactly means. But it's actually, this move here is equal to this move. That move here, these two candles are equal. These candles are equal. These candles right here are equal in terms of percent, right? In terms of percent, these two candles are equal. But when you don't have it logged, it seems like this candle is much larger in terms of supply. There's not more supply here. So you have to log weeklies most usually. And again, that's where you got to understand the math about what the difference is between the linear and the logarithm. It's really not that much of a stretch to get to that answer. But yeah, I've had so much more. The Z chart, right? The Z chart's really the best. This was the weekly chart here, right? That's really one of the best examples we have of understanding a chart based on a weekly schedule, right? Now I converted it from log to linear, right? If you look at this chart, it is on the linear now, but this was a log chart, right? But I converted it over to the linear scale so that we could get the trend line as is now, right? But you don't want to be using log on like dailies or smaller time controls, that's for sure. Who here is a millionaire right now? There's some whales in the chat. Don't let them fool you. What's that song? Oh, that's a different song. Never mind. I was thinking of the. I'm not gonna say that on the stream. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. You know that one? I was thinking that one was like there's some. I forgot that that was the actual lyric, but yeah, there you go. All right. RCL, of course, is a part of the move here as well. Tallow continues to go. That chart is going to be interesting. DVN was mentioned. Obviously, DVN is at 22.5, that resistance. We've, of course, been a part of that trade for quite some time. Let's see. All of travel catching. That CHX chart. Oof. Oofa. Right? Oof. Just too clear, right? It's too clear. Bang, we're very close. Huh. Okay. ERJ in the channel. Again, guys, all this aerospace and defense tickers, that whole sector is just ridiculous, right? So some of these charts are leading, right? This ERJ chart has been leading the move in terms of this sector making a move, but still. Like I said, just go look up aerospace and defense tickers and find one. That's what I said last week. Marriott making the same move. What did I say? Oh, I said on Friday that it's going to come up to here, 147.34. We're pretty fucking close, so at me. Anyways, it's close enough. It's only 10:30. It's only been an hour, guys, by the way. Play. I mentioned play at least twice. At least twice at the end of last week. Again, retail stores, and then, I mean, whatever. This is a very nice move. This is a good confirmation of the idea. Very good confirmation, because again, you get into this trend, and sometimes all you want to think about is what's happening in that moment. And the saying I always say again, and I'll just keep repeating it forever, is that it doesn't matter where price is, you know, in the next 30 minutes or by the end of the day. It's where is it next week, the week after, right? This trend here, this has been an uptrend the whole time, but guess what? You look at this during the week, and it's a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. I mean, look at the prices coming back and forth. You got like 5% down, 6%, 3%. Oof, these are tough weeks, but guess what? It's trending up. It's really easy to see in hindsight, of course, but that's where you need to stick with the plan, right? You've got a plan, you have an understanding, you just got to stick with it. Understand the supply, understand the trend. Don't think about what's happening in the moment, understand what it means for the future, right? Free Willy, of course, continues. Some of you are still doing the thing on like charts like this where you like your charts, and I wish Don would post my chart and alert my chart because that's what I trade. You gotta like stop and think like there's only plays. Well, I don't want to make that play. Like this is my this is my stock. That's not how it works, right? We don't give a shit. We trade off the ticker name. We don't care about the company. You gotta like this is such a good example, and I will continue to use this as an example as sort of our meme. This, I mean, SeaWorld is shit, right? It's absolute dog shit, right? It's the point is there's been very clear breaks on this kind of chart, and the only reason why most people wouldn't, if you thought this was like some other ticker, right? If this was Tesla right now, you'd be buying. But since it's not, you're not buying. And so some of that, too much of that comes into your decision making, I think, for a lot of you. Just being honest, bluntly honest. I'm not saying that you have to go trade fucking SeaWorld, but I know a lot of times it's like, oh, I want to trade Tesla. I want to trade Tesla. Like, I love Bitcoin. Huh. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, you just got to stop because you're never going to make money. You're just never going to. You're going to trade things you don't like. You know? You're going to trade things you don't like. That's just the reality. Because the fact is that the money is way better than what you want to trade, right? Okay, we are getting close. It looks like we're going to hit this trend line before lunch. That will be that's going to be very helpful in terms of our understanding because again, during lunch when there's less volume, I talk about the idea of accuracy. If there's less volume, we do not have very good accuracy of understanding what the true price is. And so if we get to this trend line during lunch, then it's very hard to tell if it's actually getting rejected, if it's bouncing on it. So I hate interactions during lunch because it's just so difficult to tell. If we can get any of these earlier, it's going to be very helpful understanding how do we even transition these positions because at the moment we're kind of stuck in that supply everywhere. And you know, we're about an hour away from lunch, so we do have time. All right, let's go back over to sort of that intermediary tech semis. You can see NVIDIA didn't actually go, but this consolidation, I do like the consolidation in here. I'm going to keep these charts in mind. Twitter, very nice consolidation happening in here. Whether you're developing some sort of flag, pennant, maybe it's going to be a longer consolidation, I don't know, but it does look very good. I know Snap was mentioned, Snap with the break from Friday, really, right? Now, that candle, little disturbing to look at there if you're in that trade, so we'll see how that develops. Discovery still holding that above that trend line. Save again that 3770. This is where again these charts are coming into these levels before lunch. It's gonna be very helpful to see if this is bouncing, right? You broke through, you're bouncing. Now what you want to see is that pull off, right? That move through, bounce, boom, see you later. And it doesn't need to, right? You're in that trade and it breaks down, you take profit, right? You take profit. Okay, let's see. BA institutions, obviously a lot of bad news in terms of BA going on right now. Lots going on over there. Now, we have had situations where there's a lot of bad news going on where it doesn't matter, right? So, again, I know there's things going on in terms of news. For these charts, you just got to look at price. Price will tell you if something's going on, right? Price will tell you, and if it matters. If it matters, then price will tell you the move. This is tightening. So if I'm looking at this chart, I'm looking through here. Okay, the most recent trend has been pretty good. This I really don't like this megaphone look right this moment, but if it did turn into further upside, then maybe you get a megaphone idea in here. But usually you want a double bottom. So usually you want a trend line into a bottom. So what this would mean is kind of looks like a megaphone, but that would mean it would come down here first. So that already rules that idea out. This is just kind of a broadening. But you've got tightening over here. It's possible you get a break, and you've got a lot of supply in here. This chart is it is tied into this aerospace and defense sort of idea. Besides it just being they make fucking planes, right? It's tied into a sector that could be convergence. Its chart is so bearish through here that it's been so beat up. It's not going to take much demand, I would say. I think that's going to be completely dependent on that sector. ZTS thoughts? I can't buy down there. No way. Not going to happen. I mean, if you break here, then you can start to ask. This chart is so volatile, right? So this move in here was about as trendy as you're going to get. On that chart, it was about as trendy as you're going to get. This over here, you're too much going on. Too much going on. Here's a good example over here. How it's going to go back and forth. The problem is that if you're in this level, it just can bounce back and forth. So you need to clear that level and see some direction. And you most likely would buy on and open on that level, right? But it's good. Like, this is a nice chart to trade because the volatility, right? The swinging back and forth. But you're never going to be able to perfectly time it. And so you have to miss some points. So you need some further consolidation like this here, and then the move happens, right? So wherever you are, you need to consolidate this now, right? Consolidate and then go. Build confidence, then go. And especially on a pharmaceutical chart like that, you're going to miss points. You can't time it ever. But you have to be willing to pull the trigger when the confidence is there, right? Yeah, that MAR chart, since we looked at it, really continuing, right? I think a lot of, yeah. It's not like they're just not surprising, right? It's not surprising. It's just really not surprising, right? And that's also the worst thing for your mentality, which makes it more difficult if you're not in the trade, of course. If you're not in any travel chart, then it just feels kind of unforgiving, that's for sure. And then if you're in the trade, well, then it's like, well, okay, this is nice, but what do I do now? We have no sense of, we're just going, right? You could be in this trade for the next, until your expiration. You really don't know, right? You guys are now up 12% on your NCLH position. 12.5, excuse me. We've almost wiped out the open loss. You guys lost a fat 17%. And since you guys wanted me to sell it at open, you didn't get a very good price, right? But it's better than where it is now, that's for sure. Uh-oh, look at Ecto got LSU to start calling me Dan too. Nice one, guys. Thanks, Dan. It's not even close to my name. My name is Log, right? Log scale, exactly. Don logarithm. Guys, just call me the Don logarithm. Logarithmic. Kind of like logarithmic because it's got the word rhythm in it, you know? Loggy Don, Loggy Dan. The Don logarithm. That's the new pattern. We do need to name this pattern. We need to understand the sequence here. There's not there are some ideas here, but we don't really have a name for it. Like we talk about this move and then the tightening, but we do need some sort of name. Not really sure. It's something. It needs to be something with like that price is up, down, and then it goes, right? What the hell do you call this? What is that? Like what does that look like? Where you get this big rally, kind of dicks around, flat, and then goes. What the hell is that called? Looks like the plot of Top Gun. You guys come up with the dumbest fucking memes. Jesus Christ. What does that even mean? Is this like the start of Top Gun with the cool plane things going on, and then this is the romance scenes, and then the fight again? Exactly. Kenny Loggins parts, exactly. I'll think of something, but okay, it's a pretty big move coming towards the market. Let's see. Give it the market perspective. You know, you look at tech over here, hasn't really broken out of the supply yet. Here's the Russell chart, right? This is certainly bounced on the trend line, right? When we talk about a pullback into the trend line, that's it. Now, this you have to again, what I talked about from last week coming into this week is that this move here signaled all-time highs this week. Think about just the trends, right? Just think about the trends. So from here, think about the amount of days, right? So here is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What is that? 228. It's right on the trend line. That's all-time high right there. Guess what? We did that on Friday. So you've got value to regain. You've got trend lines that are easy to climb. You're in gap territory here. This is such a gap day tomorrow. It's leading to such a gap possibility. Now, there's some issues here because of the charts that have popped off. Travel is not going to gap tomorrow, right? Not after a 10% day. It's not going to gap tomorrow, right? Now, if it did, then everyone would be getting paid and everyone would be happy. But the likelihood of that's very low. So in terms of probability, that does remove some of the probability here. But I would say that there is a gap chance based on the move so far and the fact that we haven't put really any points on. We haven't really put points on. So depending on where it closes, if we closed right here, I would say a gap tomorrow is more likely. But it depends on where it closes. Now, you're likely on this chart at least to come test the trend line. That's such a sort of small cap thing to do, is to put some volatility on and go test that trend line. I don't know what that means overall, because you're going to get a pullback from that unless you break through, which again, you could break through at close, and that could be the idea of the gap getting filled before it even happens, just due to speculation. But you know, you talk about this again, this is what I mean about a gap. This turns into a gap. That's just what happens, right? This right here turns into a gap. So we'll see how this continues to hold. If we don't get selling at close, then again, you're gonna hurt yourself if you're not in position more than you would for just being on the sidelines, right? You could lose everything tomorrow. Guess what? That's just the reality. Anything could happen at any time. In terms of probabilities, if you're not in position, there's a higher chance you're gonna miss than lose. That's just like last week, right? You can look at this and guess what? Our positions in relation to this are up significantly. So the same thing continues to apply, right? We look at this for a bias, not for what we actually trade, right? We're not trading this, right? We're not trading that. We're trading this, and that, and this, and that. Those don't look like the market because we don't look like the market. You go look at the average trader, no one here looks like that. Yep, there's your A&D move coming. Aerospace defense. We do like the RTX chart. Again, that's your entry there. Is it going to happen? This is happening, coming out of the tightening. Again, look at this move here. I'm not opposed to the BA move at all because, again, the sector. So remember, sometimes you got to remove the ticker. I don't like the BA chart or the ticker itself overall at all. But you know what I do like? I like the aerospace and defense sector. Right now, I'm pretty hot on it, right? Pretty hot on it. Feeling a little warm inside, right? So guess what? I'm going to remove my bias towards the ticker and trade what I can and take points, right? Now, what's a great bias to have? Fuck Facebook and Zuckerberg, right? It's a great bias to have because you would have been making money for almost over the last 6 months, right? You would have been making money. Every time you could just short it. Dung, 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 right? Like playing whack-a-mole. Every time it peeks its head out and give it a whack, thing goes instantly back in its hole, right? That little Zuckerberg with them eyeballs juicing out of his head. Look at him. Now, he's sitting on the trend line here. He's be careful, that guy. But we are getting confirmation, and oof, boys. AAL tested the trend line, so we got it at 1049 or so. So we're coming in the trend line. This is such an important part of your trade. Those of you that are in this trade, such an important time that, I hope you've already thought about it. What you're going to do in this moment here, whether you needed to transition here, so you've already taken profit. You already took profit, and you're going to re-enter if it bounces on the support line up here, right? If it's up here and then bounces, then you're re-entering new contracts. So you've either taken profit already right now, because that's your rule. You transition on this trend line, and then you're going to re-enter new contracts up there. Or you are in such long-term contracts that you can hold through all of this and you're going to let it pull back if it needs to and then trade it back through. That is all about timing, your strike prices. It's up to you. That's where you're going to make the alpha from this trade compared to your peers, right? Ex-girlfriend calling me right now. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. NCLX 9%. Yep. Good thing I posted that chart. I wonder what the trade would have been if I didn't post that chart. Now I'm trying to theorize. Maybe it would have been like BA or something. Or like one of the... It probably would have been... Oh, yeah, M was the other one. But those were fucking March monthlies. You guys would have blown that up the first day. You would have got like 100% on the M chart and then lost it all the next day. I know for a fact. I know for a fact if you guys traded this, you guys would get like 100% and be like, this is so good, guys. And then lose the whole fucking thing. BA, I mean, I would have definitely been piqued some interest if you guys chose something like this, because that's such a weird kind of It's not a trade like, I mean, I obviously am talking about it because of the sector, but I would not have expected you guys to come up with this one. I think there's the funny thing is though is from the study that I'm doing, I don't want to like I don't want to give away the vibe and cause a difference in what's happening in the study, but I think a lot of it is that you guys are going to avoid a lot of these kind of trades here. The really obvious ones that we're all going to make money on with our own accounts, or that I'm at least fucking trading and you watch whatever you do. And then you're going to try to go for the ones that haven't done anything yet, and you're going to try to like catch it. But it's, sort of like the open trade, right? Where it's like, oh, okay, that's a cool chart, so let's just go do it. When there's like very obvious ones that just with timing alone, you guys could just be like, all right, let's vote on this one. Go, go, go. Put it in, like we did this morning with this trade, right? And that's so much better, but it's hard to get people to get together and do that. Ecto says, quote, you post a chart like that right before open. Spend the entire morning talking about travel. Travel opens green. Our position opens shit. Almost seems like a setup. Fuck, I did influence the trade, didn't I? The best part, you know what the fucking best part of this is that I make that NCLX trade at open. I make on my personal account. Oh shit. I make this trade at the open on my personal account. And then you guys buy it fucking 30 or 20 minutes later. No, I just mean in terms of that's what people fucking do is they get groups to buy in after them. That was not the plan. It would have been better if one of these times I can sell to you guys. That's where the real meme comes in. You guys choose a position and I sell it to you. I'm literally waiting for that moment where you guys want to buy something and then I sell it to you. And then hold my lips shut. Alex Cutler wannabe. You guys filled at 1,000 over market price. Boogeyman in the chat. It's like some Inception shit, guys. I'm fucking up hour in my own account. All right, here's the SPY making some moves to the downside. Let's see. Tech related. Tech related. Also value here. Let's see where the boys are going. Let's see what's going on. What's this candle? It's a 42 basis. The SPY is a 21 basis. Not the largest. Go over to the VIX. Spot VIX increasing. Increasing here. A little bit of a bounce through. VXX. Still need to move, right? You still need to move. We'll see how that looks. In terms of the dollar, let's see if we get some direction. Dollar, a little bit of a gain here, so still trending down though, so we still have not got signal from this macro. I think a lot of this again is coming from the treasury angle, right? The treasury is again really not helping here. It's really not helping in terms of the idea. The yields are not changing, but there's flows happening that we do need to be aware of. Certainly do need to be aware of. So we're going to keep this move with volatility in relation on sort of the watch here going into lunch. This just looks like a drop in volume. We just had a drop in order flow, and so the demand, showing exactly what happens when demand falls off for just a brief moment. And then it picks back up at the level, right? So that should give some good indication there. But this does make this a little interesting over here, right? There's definitely some buy opportunities that opened up once again here. See if we can get some good examples. You look at these charts, right? This didn't move at all. None of these moved at all. So, again. What was I going to say? We need to start to talk. Well, we've done this with airlines, right? We talked about in terms of airlines, the difference between some of the larger airlines, so American Airlines being the largest, right? And then something like Save being on the smaller scale, and then the timings in which they move, right? what moved first, right? When you start to think about these, the smaller airlines moved first, and then the big boys caught up, and then for the next move, smaller airlines moved first again, and then the big boys came, right? Because these are larger cap sizes, right? So look at the RCL move, right, as well. This in relation to this, so of course Royal Caribbean's the largest cruise line, right? This is fucking twice the size as the others ones, right? It's just not even, I mean, they're comparable, but we know this is larger. So look at the sizing difference here compared to something like CCL, but look at the candles when you look at this. See how this led? The smaller sizing leads first, and we always talk about wanting to be in the leader, and then we can pick up the other converging tickers later, right? So whether you pick this up today or like the NCLH position, it's sort of like this was today, you could do this. We were in the CCL position before, and then you can get this. It's not so much that you're missing something, right? You're actually building on top of your current position already. So like for those of you that are in that CCL position, or you're in the airlines and you built from this position, right? From the save chart over here, you got into this trade, and then you've continued to ride this, and then you built in the American Airlines trade, understanding that there is going to be a move, and then you got this move, right? And then you captured this move now, and again, there is a big fucking difference between this gain and that save chart, right? There's a very large difference because of the sizing, right? It's like when we talk about a marginal trades on something like a mega cap, that percent gain on the options is significantly larger comparatively, right? Depending on the volatility on it, of course, there's a lot of different factors in there. So we have to keep all these things in mind, and that's why we trade multiple positions, because sometimes, it's not always the same. Sometimes you're going to get a large gain, and sometimes it doesn't even move. You got to capture as much as possible. Everything looking very good. Again, like look at we've talked about all of these together, right? You can pick and choose. You can be picky. Coming up. But yeah, still very, very good stuff. Right. I would, like last week, those that didn't hear me say this last week, what I would do, even for those of you that weren't in the position, right, or that are in the position, go look at some of those charts. What I want you to do is go look at some of those charts and look at the options, like the options you would have bought at the start of those moves, right? So something like AL or CCL, right? Go look at the start of this move. If you put like 10% of your portfolio, 5% of your portfolio, whatever you usually do for sizing, go put that, and then go take a look at what the profit is from here to there, and go look at it, right? That number a lot of times is going to make you make the trade the next time. Trust me, I've done it 100 times where I look and I go, all I have to do next time is take the trade, and if it doesn't work immediately, then I can get out of it and move to the next one. But by not being in position, you miss every single trade you don't take, right? And so if you go look at that number, and then you go see that this is over 500%, right? In a lot of cases, then that starts to seem a little silly on some trades, right? And if you do it consistently, right? You do it consistently on a lot of your trades. Well, now you're talking about 5xing like 10 different trades in the span of a week, right? And so it's not a FOMO. What I want you guys to do is to start to conceptualize some of these things. So going forward, the next trade you make, right? You make the next one, even when the market's going up, because the only way you're going to do it, it seems too easy, right? It does seem too easy, but it's because you're taking on water in other positions that you're trying to also make work. They're not all going to work. All you got to do is beat those other positions you have, the profit, right? Disney, where this is a very nice candle. Very interested to see what we get in here. Energy continues. That MGM position, very nice. Solid gain so far. ELMN, oof. Retail. Retail. This chart has so much volatility on it. Yikes. Okay. Bring it back over the average. Poor Z, looks like no one is going to be buying homes ever again. What? Oh no. All right. What do you guys think about the Z move? We're getting very close to the trend line. So, of course, we took this trade. What do you think we did here? Took profit, reversal, 2-candle reversal. Over here, big buyers. This is the OG trend line, right? This is the channel. This is the best support you're ever going to get on this chart. If there was ever a time to go put limit buys on this trend line, it'd probably be this week, right? If there's a time when you'd buy without even a breakout, you just buy right on support, it'd be this time, right? It would be this time. I mean, you would wait. Limit buys on trendline video tutorial. Yeah, I'm working on that one. I did mention it last week. It's being worked on. How much is left in this account? You guys have $145 in cash. It's on the picture, right on the picture, right above you. Let's see. Some of these dojis that are coming through, I'm wondering how many of these should be bought. That bud chart, oof. ELY, I wanted to be a part of this trade. It's very close, but you're getting like a bit of a continuation diamond idea in here. You gotta give it a little bit further. Break a trend line in here somewhere. A little too early to take that. Close. That chart. Some of these are very close. We gotta stick to it. Gotta stick to it. Don't want to preempt anything. There was a few trades that we preempted last week, but I don't think we're really in the spot. Gotta be patient this week. Gotta be patient. I am feeling a little, don't want to miss gap opportunities or anything, but I don't think it's warranted to go preempt some trades that, are gonna be break even by end of day, and then you're kind of risking possible downside tomorrow when I could just buy it open. Some charts are just not gap winners. Okay, some of these charts pulling back into support as well. We'll see. Now, in terms of tech continue to sell, right? So we've got a rotation still from tech into value to be expected. If you guys are wondering about the Apple trade, here you go. getting paid on that short side. That's for sure. So in terms of straddle, it's about as good as it's going to get. It's about as good as it's going to get in terms of a first day. Almost 3%. Almost 3% is you're probably not going to get a better first day of the week in terms of this trade. So what you're looking for, if those of you that took the straddle, obviously the long side started on Friday. When you're in that position, you're not thinking, oh, well, you know what, I didn't gain anything today, so let me take it off, right? The straddle is, no, you're looking for a big move one way or the other. And so starting with this here, if this tomorrow, right, started to push back up, then the trade no longer works, right? The trade no longer works. It needs to go one way in direct line. So this is what it chose here, right? You're choosing this way from this open. So you got to get some points here, right? You got to get some points here. Doesn't need to happen. It's just the plan, right? And it also helps because you're mitigating risk. You're not going to lose money on that trade because you're trading it both ways, right? As long as it makes enough of a move, cover the other premium, you're good. And in that situation, since the puts are going to pay more than the calls anyway would, right? The puts pay more, so the downside is sort of the best case scenario. That's the reality on that chart at least, right? You get about 80% to 20% over there. These oil charts, oh god. FLNT continues that move. It just keeps trending. Nice trend chart. All these, there's certainly some, you can see it on some of these charts. Again, a lot of the value charts that are tied into government spending, right, is stimulus oriented in the sense that the charts are doing well and get different levels of demand because there's an expectation of spending coming from another party that's going to drive revenue in some sort of way. So there's obvious times when in price you can just see it. You don't need to read it, you see it. And so some of these charts we're seeing it. You're not seeing as large of a move on X, but of course it's going one way here. Going one way. Looks very good. So what we are looking for is we are getting more and more stimulus confidence, and it's getting put together now and everything else. So what we want to see though is what is the reaction when stimulus is actually coming into place and actually happens. What is the reaction? A lot of the market is just, we've priced in stimulus for fucking like 6 months now, right? It hasn't changed. So what happens when we do pass stimulus and there's not an expectation of another stimulus package in quite some time? There is things that we need to think about. How are other people going to react, right? How do others react when stimulus gets passed? What are we going to do, right? We're trending up because stimulus. The idea of future growth, right? That the economy is recovering, reinflation and everything. We need to see what people think. You consolidate the move. You probably consolidate once it happens and then continue, right? Those are realities. We talk about when there's an event, you consolidate into the event and then you break, right? That's just, these sort of things happen and we want to watch for that. Is this a part of that? I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's certainly not fully in relation to it because we're not even coming into the actual vote for it. So still some unknowns. So maybe some of the uncertainty here is uncertainty about the exact timing, right? For some people, right? For some people and for the market. And that's probably why, there's a lot of back and forth even here in terms of this rotation, right? You're rotating out of tech because, well, we don't need to be here. We don't need the consistent earnings from tech to be okay. We're going to use this is already recovered. It already is putting significant points on. we got to go retrace 100% on some of these charts still. So again, that's where we're going. And there's a long way to go. There is a long way to go. So yeah, this intermediary tech. NWK does come back into the channel here. A very nice idea being made. Another new opportunity, even for those that are not didn't trade it before. I do like that. I do like that move there. I don't know if that's more likely an open position, right? An opening break, if there's some flag idea in here. I mean, it's not really a flag, but again, I mean, it's close enough. I guess I would call it a flag. Broke out today. I would call it a flag. OMC into the trend line. About 71 in there. Bounced. Let's see. How far does that go after the bounce? It's done 5% today. Could definitely just get the target here today. Get the target today. This is a retrace chart as well. About 79. That's signaling this week, right? A lot of points, but what happens when charts move into areas where there's no supply? Well, like this. Moves pretty damn quick. Hey man, I've never even seen that chart before. Oh. Never even looked at that chart in my life. I've never looked at this chart in my life either. Well, it does exist, let me tell you. It's really hard to buy something if you haven't looked at it. I'll be honest with you. That's why I don't buy anything I haven't looked at before. Even if it looks good. I'm theorizing a little bit here. In terms of transition, where's the next entry on the next position? We're coming into lunch, but in terms of supply and demand right now, if we go into lunch as we are standing right this moment, then this is going to push through very quickly. So based on where supply and demand is now, if volume dropped, the spread gets wide here and pushes through this very quickly. So I'm wondering about my next position here. On a lot of these charts, by the way. On a lot of them. They're very similar here, right? Done. I think we need to get a little bit closer to lunch. And get some direction from the market as well. Get a little bit more direction. I mean, this is pretty clear. It's pretty damn clear, but let me just see it, right? I mean, this should be clear. Those day traders out there salivating, right? Volatility, giving signal, right? Downwards. Dollar. Exact same. Correlated. Getting that same, so we just had a little bit of a pullback across the market here, right? Again, just intraday, not a true pullback. Intraday, talking about fucking 5-minute candles here, right? But this pullback here has led to some new opportunities on charts, and so again, when we talk about taking advantage and you miss things, well, when you get new opportunities, you take them. So there are some charts out there that that didn't really present levels to buy on, but you've got pullbacks intraday that, you know what, you can make a case for. There's certainly opportunities out there. These charts are going. Like, if you didn't do this GE chart, that's tough, because I don't know how you'd ever be able to get back into this chart now. There's no level. It's very difficult. Let me see. I think we did this last week. I'm gonna put this level on a little bit. I'll look back there. Don't want to do it the second, but there's a lot of open territory here, and I think you're gonna get a spread problem here in a moment. Probably a spread problem here in a moment on that chart. Like you're watching 5-minute candles, you're gonna get some spread issues in a little bit. All it takes is one big order to come in on this chart here, and this trend gets fucked, and it just starts to get spread. And it's because the dollar amount, the way the dollar amount works, is just such a low dollar amount that it's such a high number in terms of volume that that produces a false sense of liquidity. And so as soon as some of those sellers get bought up, and there's no more sellers in that moment, there's so many more buyers that it actually just completely gaps in the spread. And this is the problem with some of these lower priced larger companies, is that on the sell side, providing liquidity, once those all get bought, it doesn't feel like it because there's so many fucking people buying and selling, like in terms of volume, because the price is low, right? So very quickly, you don't see it. There could be like 20,000 people selling in a moment, and then all of those get bought immediately. And I'm just giving a silly example. But then now there's zero sellers for that next few seconds. And so it causes that very quick whip. This is like one of those situations where you look at this and it's very close to just being in that moment because the chart doesn't trade like this. You go back, look, we're looking at 5-minute candles now. Look at the difference in these 5-minute candles, right? There's a significant spread difference, and it's already sort of happening. This is one where you see the candle just completely get gapped and can't even load it. Be careful. It's a false sense of liquidity. Seems like, oh yeah, there's plenty of volume in here. You go look, because look at it's got 38,000, 32, 28, 72, all in 5 minutes, right? Plenty of support. There's plenty of sellers. Don't worry about it. Look at TradingView saying there's 16,000 sellers. See the amount of liquidity being given right now? Only 3,000 buyers. Not a big deal, right? And I know it's probably hard to see. I'm just kind of showing you down the corner as an example. But that can go away in 1 second. And then all the sellers are gone. And now all of a sudden you get this widespread and everyone's like, what's the price right now? That's where this looks. That looks like you get some serious points put on. Considering the sector and everything, you might get that across a couple of these charts. And it's really just a being unprepared thing. When this shouldn't be breaking out like the way it is. It should just trend, but it's the point of people didn't see this move on Friday that we saw, right? This idea of a break here, that's your opportunity there, or else you're getting stuck in this sort of chasing dynamic with wide spreads. You're trying to place limit buys. You can't even get a fucking limit buy on. You got to go market buy it. And you feel like shit because it feels silly because you keep moving your limit buy up, and then no one's filling you, so you have to go put market price, and then you get filled at God knows what, somewhere up here. And then the chart gaps up to that because you just got filled up there, right? That's what I'm talking about with spreads. People get antsy. Can't wait 2 minutes to get a damn position. Got to buy it right this moment. Good, looking good. There's a SPY. Holding value. Holding value. FSR. Some of these charts are very close, right? Very close to that high. You think about this, the FANG ticker, right? It's been on our trajectory the whole time. Are we going to change our idea of this ticker based on like a daily candle, like every daily candle or something? You know, like on last Wednesday, you sold 5.5% or so. Did we then all of a sudden change our entire idea of what's happening in this ticker because of this week's price action? Or do we continue to look at the entire length of when we've been looking at its price action and the plan that we have here, right? Nothing has changed from our plan. Going according to this schedule, and so we continue to trade it on that trend until something changes. These daily candles, like one daily candle that pulls back, does not change the overall trend here. Even if there was a bearish candle, it does not change the overall trend, so we just continue to trade it, right? And this is a weekly log, one of the last weekly log charts as well. This right here. This one has never doubt. There's never been a doubt in this chart, right? There's retail presence. There's a lot of different things going on this chart, right? It's never stopped. It's never stopped. Even on these weeks that, look, this week here was 11%. This one's 5%, minus 5%. It doesn't change the trend, though. It doesn't change the trend whatsoever. And so, again, when you're trying to trade, this is where the weekly thing is very hard for most people to go do this, because your life is made up of like these very short moments, and it's like, well, I trade, I get in and out of positions every other day. I'm not willing to hold something over fucking 2 months, man. So sometimes you gotta, right? Fib says CDE. Some more metals. It's just moving with the metals market, of course. Here you go. Okay, let's see. In terms of lunch, let's do some analysis in terms of pullback ideas, what that means in terms of some positions. Again, transitions were already on the menu, so if you didn't transition, then obviously you're holding through a lunch pullback, because if you weren't willing, like for instance on this AL chart, right? If you weren't willing to sell here, you shouldn't be willing to sell down here today, right? Let me put it on the 15-minute. If you didn't take profit here, then you shouldn't be taking profit down here. You should have already made your mind up. Those of you that have a very hard time planning ahead, you know yourself better than anyone else. If you know that if the price got down here that you would sell, then you need to be making these decisions a little bit quicker, right? You got to make it a little bit quicker and not hold through things unless you plan on holding through to push it further no matter what, right? So if this comes all the way down here, I don't want to see anybody in chat going, oh man, I was up like 400% on AAL and now I'm down. Now I lost money. No one would be losing money, but you know what I mean? Like you'd have a red day. That's not okay, right? So you gotta, it's probably your relative reversal point, right, on the day is probably what you're looking at, is like $20, right? You need to just have this level in there, right? I'm not saying that you can't take profit here at $20 if you didn't take profit here, but that needs to be a part of your plan so that it doesn't feel bad, right? Because that feeling bad part is going to cause another bad trade, even though this is a great trade. You made a great trade, right? You want to hold through this, but if you're in a position where you should be transitioning this, there's a lot of different things to think about, right? I'm holding at least half of these right now. I transitioned about half, and I'm going to get some new contracts, but you know, you got to really think about these things before it happens, because you know what everyone else is doing in there? There's people that are up quite a bit, and now they're going, oh, I better get out of my position because it's going down. And so you got to be able to get through those people, right? We understand there's more potential upside, but you just need to know beforehand, right? Now, most people here know that. I'm just, for anyone else new recording, that's something that needs to be thought of, so that you're not doing it after, right? Because you never want to be holding through a whole downturn and then selling at a low point for no reason, unless that's the part of the plan, right? Is that you're either going to make 100% or stop out, right? That's a fine plan. Disney continues. Yeah, this chart does look very good. It does look very good. Those of you that go, is this a flag? Yeah, I would say it's a flag. Bit of a flag. Now it's sort of, it's sort of constructed itself here now today. We could just turn this here. Something like this. It's a little bit longer, but a couple different ways to look at it. So here's your problem, right? is that it's not true flag, but we're gonna give it a just give it a whirl and chance, right? A little bit of a pennant idea. See how when you try to actually draw this, how it doesn't really fit, because it's not a true flag, right? It's not a true flag. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep that there, and I'm gonna just draw this idea for you, because again, it's on the schedule. It's just not a classic. So we're gonna keep this idea here for the idea of where is it going, right? It's going to continue this, right? It's going to continue that trend. That's all you need to know. In terms of a trend line in here, you don't really have one, right? And so that's where you don't have a level in here that gives you support, gives you buyers, right? I don't really want to draw this right now because it's going to give the bad idea, but you do have like, in terms of these bottom triangles or bottom wedges that I've been showing you guys, you certainly have sort of that idea, right? Coming from in here, consolidating and then going towards the upside, but I'm not going to draw that right now. But what X does. X should be interesting during lunch for that same spread idea that I talked about on GE, right? X does that thing during lunch. See how GE just fucking skyrocketed, right? This idea from like in here, when this starts to happen through here, X does the same thing as well. With this chart, it starts to get these very large block orders through here, and then the spread just gets all screwed up. So these orders try to get through, the bigger institutional orders, they try to get through, and then the spread just pushes it. It's just like on schedule orders, right, that I talk about. Then it gets pushed through, especially if we got through this resistance level, right? Anything above that level is going to get very widespread, comparatively. A couple percent more on the spread. What's good, you guys? Okay, yeah. So for lunch, I feel like this is probably, this is basically given itself chances for lunch. The market, you think about it's created some support down here. It could be a melt up lunch, say higher than 50% chance, certainly. So a little bit of a melt up idea. The only thing is that this is so tech related, so maybe more obviously towards this side, towards the value side. This melting on the trend line is of course over 50%. Even if it keeps swinging through here, if the lows are staying higher, mostly you're just going to melt along this trend line, right? And we see this all the time on this chart. In terms of the SPY is completely related to tech, so it depends on tech over here. Now, again, this is not good news over here. So you look at some of these, right? This is turning into a little bit of a further downside, right? Further downside potential. Tesla, same thing, right? These charts are all market tech oriented charts. Facebook, same thing. It attempted to come back. Now this came back into some levels that I had drawn last night, or over the weekend. Down 62 basis points. Such a weird level of supply in here when I was looking at this chart. We'll see. This trend line really helped this chart, which is also a good thing in terms of understanding trends, because if it even goes to the downside and trends on this trend line, Makes it easier. It doesn't need to go immediately, but we'll always be able to see if a break happens because of the trend line. Hard chart to look at. I don't like that chart. Okay, Amazon, right? In terms of mega caps, this move down into here. Now this trade it's very easy on this chart because we have the support in here that we understand. We also can extend this trend line through here, which I'm going to leave that up because that's an important one to understand. So in terms of when we're looking at the NASDAQ, we have an understanding of where this is. That's that trend line, right? That consolidation. I mean, again, this is full rotation. We understand it, right? There are some key differences on some of these charts when we look at them, right? Microsoft was up here for so long. That's why it took such a larger hit in relation because it's trying to converge to its sector, right? So look at the way it broke from that trend line, right? Gap the trend line. The whole point of the trend line, right? Gap that supply, that level of support. Google, think about this chart. This has really the most to lose. It's holding so far. This chart has the most to lose. It's so much further ahead. You think about to the next level where those charts are, that's 13%. That's where all those other charts are right now, right? All those charts are down in here. That Amazon chart you see trading on that level comes in and then it comes down in here. That's where that is. So, I mean, that's an opportunity. If this is going to converge and we see it, then that's quite the opportunity there. 10% even would be a significant gain on a short. That's never happening. You would never hold through that. Probably never. But you get some of it. You could certainly get some of it. Mm-hmm. Billy chart. V. Give it Brian sample V. How much does this matter? How much does this matter? This is value. This is value. This was tech. Again, our correlations, those of you that don't know, when we look at the dollar, so we're looking at the DXY, right? It just computes all of the different ratios into one chart, right? During this move, this move here, usually we talk about the dollar being correlated against the market. So if the dollar goes up, equities go down, right? Dollar goes down, equities go up. But it sometimes is related to certain sectors, indices. For now, it's value and growth. When this was moving up, though, it was not the equity market coming down. This was actually risk on dollar. And through that risk on dollar, the equity market was still a little risky. We had volatility, right? But it actually benefited tech and growth. And so we saw money flow through this into tech as money got converted into the dollar. Over here, as it started to break down, this was money flowing into value, all those value charts. Over here, we consolidated a little bit, uncertainty, right? We bounced back, tried it, tested it. And then through this is all value popping off. All these charts that we see, like travel popping off, that's in relation to this move here. The question is, as this continues, how much more are these charts going to continue? So if we see the dollar keep breaking down this way, that should just be more and more flows to those charts. So really, those charts need to be continued pushed. You gotta have some confidence still going. So I'm putting more and more risk on in terms of those positions, in terms of how much I have allocated to the positions, and how far I'm willing to push them, right? You just gotta use some of these metrics in terms of volatility as well. Well, volatility tested it, a little bit of uncertainty, and it's still trending towards one way, but if this is in relation with the dollar towards the downside, then I don't give a shit what these charts are doing. I don't care what the market average does. I keep trading hour breakouts. You know, when I see the move like NWK here, right, when it was on that trend line this morning, these kind of moves, whenever I see the move, I'm taking it. I don't care what the market's doing, right? And you couldn't see it there because the candles, but see, you can't use the 5-minute here. It doesn't work. The daily. Oh, we putting the risk on, boys. Putting the risk on. MOS. Where's the trend or supply in there? Well, you're at some 30.5 right now. 30.5, you got a level. Say that is the level. 30.5, and then what? Can't really say. Well, 30.5. That should get interesting. Get 30.5, and then you get a local, and then see ya. It's an interesting spot. That fucking candle too. Ugh. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention banks again because I have to remind you guys every time that banks continue to go, just to, again, not gloat, but to remind you that when there's a straightforward trade, you got to take the trade, and then for every single day that you continue to watch price, how you're going to keep missing it, right? So there you go. That's the bank spiel again. Take the trade when you see it, and every time you continue to see it, just take the trade, right? There you go. I've been consistently saying it for a month now, so now that I've been consistent, it's good. It's on record. That's important. Again, the bank thing, this is just the whole value idea, right? This is if you're going to make these other trades, right? And let's, like, when I talk about these other trades, if you're going to be a part of those, then for those to be true, then this would also be doing the trend, right? For any of those charts and for the idea of value or reinflation, the economy coming back, then this idea must be true. It has to be true, or else it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if our correlations are just completely whack and we're betting on idea to happen, but one of the fundamental parts, not the fundamental part is in earnings, the fundamental parts of the idea of value going up or the economy coming back, if you don't have one of those parts actually working, then the whole thing doesn't really work. Just like it doesn't make sense if only one of the travel charts goes. They all need to go, or else it's just that one ticker itself. It's got to be a whole sector. It's got to be an entire idea. We have the whole idea. That's why I say the V word every goddamn second. And no, not that V word, you sick fucks. I'm talking about the value word. And that's why we need to see all of it together. It can't just be one thing. And that's how we get confirmation, is that it continues. And even in this time over here, consolidation, what we can do is we look towards the rest of the idea and we see that it's working and continuing and trending. And that allows us to then caption the move no matter when it's going to happen and understand the move in a different aspect and in a different way. So that bank move is really, it's not that it's leading the move or anything, but it is certainly giving more and more confidence, higher probability, backing up, justifying, right, giving rationale. Or when we look at this move, it is certainly everything that we're talking about, right? It's everything that we're talking about. And, you don't need to, I guess you don't need to trade them. but it is money on the table. So bing, bang, boom. Still trying to think of a name. I think of a drawing too. Dun, dun, boom, boom. Okay, okay. I need more coffee. I need more coffee, boys. Coming into lunch. I'm trying to think, looking through my list of ideas here. Don't think we need to mention anything at all. Let me move this over here. Does anybody have anything to mention before possibly taking a break? Questions that I can address on here that I don't need to address in a chat form? Chart ideas, anything at all. Yellen favors higher company tax. Signals capital gains worth a look. Oh God, I know one of you mentioned that in the morning. Please listen. I haven't talked about taxes at all this year. Don't make me start talking about taxes, okay? Don't do it, Yellen. You're like 4 feet tall. I would destroy you. I'm about twice the size of you. Me too, says Brian. This is a tax-free zone. Yep. No one here is allowed to complain about taxes this year. That's my New Year's resolution, along with having a better fashion sense. Which shaving my head was certainly a part of that. Just said, screw it, let's do it. Let's get some things going here. But taxes, nope, we're not doing it unless it's something that we can actually talk about in terms of rating. Those that you don't know, your broker did send you tax forms, and you need to put those. Those of you that are going to try to evade those, good luck. Guess what? All of your taxes get sent to the IRS. Or all of your trades get sent to the IRS. There's nothing you can do. There's literally nothing you can do. All of them are you're paying on. And some of you big boys, you fucked up because you were supposed to be paying quarterly and you didn't pay quarterly. So some of you fucking people that you guys are gonna be paying more. So you should have paid quarterly. So I don't have to. So if it's under a year, right? If you're in a trade less than a year, then you just pay normal tax on it. So you just pay your tax bracket. You don't get capital gains, which is sort of unfortunate, right? I don't get the lower tax. So if you hold a trade for over a year, it's capital gains. If it's less than a year, then it's just your tax bracket. So yeah, it's just normal income. It's just looked at as normal income. Now, if you are a professional tax, for those of you that have been trading for like over a year, and I think the technical number is 400 trades per quarter or something like that. I think it's a little more than that. There's a technical number, and you've been trading for a certain amount of time and a certain amount of money. You can get a professional trading tax exempt, like you're considered a professional trader to the IRS. And so what that does, if you have professional trading status, is it allows you to not pay for like Medicare, Medicaid. Those you don't have to pay tax on. So you save like 5% or so in terms of overall. So get that. But otherwise, it's just the full 50, the full 50%, the full 50, just your tax bracket. The full big boy. Yeah, but it's 5% or so when you do the realized. Because no one's like paying. It's like get a 50% tax bracket, but I'm not paying full 50% of my tax. Like I'm not literally paying 50% of my income away. That'd be ridiculous. It's close, but it's not full 50. Thank God. Okay, no more tax talk. But yeah, those of you that are wondering, some of you might be very close to qualifying for that. I would I would honestly ask your accountant, whatever you need to fucking do, call your mom, uh, and see if you can get that, because it does save some money, and it also makes you, but also the important part, like I will just talk about it real quickly, is that some of you do need to be paying quarterly. Like some of you literally need to pay quarterly, and you need to find out, because it's a pain in the ass to find out later that you need to actually be quarterly paying taxes because of the amount that you're paying. Because it, some of you are like, oh fuck, I need to pay like 200 grand right now. That's ridiculous. No one should have to be going through that. So some of you, yeah, that like got real active this year, you got to pay that shit quarterly. Like imagine being like, oh, let me go pay 300 grand in taxes tomorrow. Like, let me just go find $300,000 of liquidity real quick. That's just not a thing. Like, that's not a thing. So, yikes. Yikes. I guess that answers the, if you got an unsuspecting $500 bill, would you be able to afford it question? Would you be able to afford this amount? You guys are up 10.5% on your position. Looking good. The open position, by the way, has continued to lose value, so a good thing you guys got out of there. That thing has certainly lost a few points. It doesn't even look like it's getting much activity, so you guys get a little... you guys had a good fill. Sorry, I'm looking at this chart still. I was doing some stuff. Okay, nice break even. Phipps says buy her a Tesla. You guys should buy. By the way, it takes for fucking ever. My mom still did not have hers. FYI. That shit takes forever. When they were saying that they don't have enough supply for the demand, they were not kidding. Those deliveries take forever. Fuck that. Oh, my cards a day, man. GME whip. Not much to look at over there, huh? Okay. The one thing that I'm wondering is for like Chinese, the Chinese tickers, their relation to our tech stocks. This is going to be important to see because these did lose value over the weekend. Which, those of you wondering, I put Chinese tickers on over the weekend, so some of these trades got fucked. Right? Let's just be honest. You look at some of these. B2 is the only one that has actually been able to hold. Some of these, when we look at them now, I talked about the JD move and some of the reasons why this trade sucked, but how it could be converging and how it did turn into a possible trade. But just look across the board, right? These charts, besides, again, this move, there's a few things you can see on this chart that's a little different in relation, and we can sort of learn from why that's doing well, right? The way these are entering consolidations tell you what you need to know. But still, what we want to find out is the relation here. Now, some of you guys are going to go again, well, the BABA chart, again, I shit on BABA for months and months. Gave it a chance here, did not end up happening. So in terms of this move here, you have short opportunities from above, below this level, right? There is no support until down in here. We know because we've seen it happen before where it gapped down to here. So that's certainly possible short opportunities on this chart. But we do have an understanding that these charts are very bullish. So we're not going to go full, these charts are done, right? The Billy chart, are we going to really give up on this chart? No, just consolidating. It's just consolidating. And so what we want to find out is what is the exact relation in terms of when this is going to move. Do we need a bullish candle? What are the actual levels? So some of these charts I'm going to be during lunch looking for these because, again, little surprising of a move. And we know this chart is super bullish, right? It's just doing some consolidating. And so the more we can learn from these and figure it out, the more we'll know, because this continuing to trade to the upside is going to hold our tech as well. Even though our tech is like, I don't even know, 20 times larger than this entire thing together. It doesn't change the fact that these do like to track with that quite a bit, right? Our mega caps. So in terms of where they open, at least, right? So let me take a look at some of that and see if there's any sort of relation with supply or anything. It's hard to say. Do some rounds here. Roku has that from the open here. This move, right? Yikes. Pumping some volatility in there. I do like the trade over here. You got to wait for it to come into the trend line, right? But you let that come into the trend line. You might be making short-term trades, but you have to keep taking that trade. You keep taking that trade on the trend line support for the upside move. There's no reason not to keep taking it. You just break even every single time if you have to. Make that trade 20 times if you have to. Because guess what? That's how that chart trades, right? You might make it 20 times, honestly. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 already. I mean, you got to take those trades, I'd say. Intermediary travel, still looking good in relation. All right, let's take a look at the top of the list for one more time. Take a break for lunch. I do need coffee. I'll come back with a little bit more energy. A little bit tired today, to be honest with you. Trip continues to go. Again, intermediary tech, sort of the facilitators of travel. We've talked about it. Very good charts, and they have a high lead factor on them. They actually lead very well on a lot of the moves. This chart, not so much, but those T-Com and Expedia charts certainly did. Is there anything in relation up here? Again, transitions, and then also when this comes back through, if it's going to break through the trend line, you got to know now what you're doing, what you're going to be doing, because a lot of the times, that moment that you're looking through the chain to do something, it's already happened by the time you're looking at it to react, right? So you just want to know beforehand what exactly you're going to be doing on some of those charts, right? Looking very good, very, very. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you took part in some of those, so definitely glad off of that. We talked about this chart, and this move here, that one feels good for sure. Those supply levels are, when I was looking at these, let me show you this chart. When I was looking at this chart, I don't think we talked about it over here with the other value moves, right? This is like do I call this intermediary tech? I think so, yeah. This is like that intermediary tech companies, and it moved with value, and I've talked about this. This is my last point. We're going to take a break. We talked about a lot of these sort of growth tickers, but we classified them with value, sort of like semiconductors. We actually classified the semiconductors a bit with the value idea, and they made a lot of that similar move over here, right, coming out of the election. This move over here, look at the supply it generated over here. It's very hard to, if you look at this without any drawings, those of you that saw this chart, when you look at it like this, it is very hard to say that this is going to break. And I was looking at this chart for, I don't know, I kept looking back and forth at it. Maybe for each of the swings, but also on the downside move because I wanted to buy on pullback. Look through here and like look at these levels, right? And you just look at this and you're like, there's really not much there. You just had this move here. And then now when we look at this chart, if you look at this with, like some of you I know have a hard time, you need to see it, but now look at it with this idea in here. And once you see it, you just can't unsee the idea. And then of course, and now that we have the candles here, you can see the full sort of idea. But again, all of this price actually leads into this. It's all that speculation into the move that leads into it. And you just have to see those levels in there and understand that those are people's decisions being made, right? Those price changes are people's decisions being made of what's going to occur. You've just got to know that this here, it's either going to be this move here, and it's not going to continue, but you know you're at least going to get this move, right? You know you're at least going to get this move through the supply, and then all you had to do was just get that little bit of extra momentum on it with this supply in here. And really the big thing here to see, if you haven't figured out yet, is that you had a lot more, see the trend line in here? You had a lot more room to work with in the trend line, which allows for momentum to, all of these gravitated towards the supply, right? But it doesn't have much room to get going. This here has so much more room to gravitate towards that trend line and allows for momentum to be built and a lot more buyers to come in that otherwise we're not able to, right? We see this a lot where I talk about, and I look at those charts, you see me going, all right, where's the trend line? 22, okay. That's because that's just what price does. And you can see the way that has exploded through there. That's a feel-good chart. That's just a feel-good trade, not because of the money you make on it, but because of what you've learned through this process of being able to find price and to understand timing, which is fucking hard to do, right? It's really hard to get timing down. There you go. You had the levels, and that's all you need, right? You've got it. That's it. It could have broken down. That's fine. Could have just done the same thing, but you knew you had that chance, right? And you planned for it, right? You planned for it. There it is. That's a great, really happy with that chart. I think that's exactly what we use our system for, to be a part of trades like this. Be a part of a trade like that right there. Again, more learning. It's more about learning. So we'll leave it with that really pretty chart. If you've never looked at the chart, go look at the chart without the candles on there. I think it does help. It does help if you don't look at it with the candles on there. 100% does when you just look at it. Sort of like this, right? This is what the chart looked like before. And if you just go look at it like this and try to put yourself in the mindset of, okay, I'm trading this for the next day, and then you go ahead and you look at that, right? And then you see it play out, and you see the candles develop, right? And you see these come in here, and you just keep looking at it through the sense of trading. How would I trade this today? Okay, now how do I trade the break here as it moves? And you keep going through it, right? If you get the replay thing, go put it on like the 15-minute candles on like a chart like this. Go play the 15-minute candles on your replay and watch those and see. Just say, would I buy here? Would I be buying here? Would I take profit here? Go do that, right? I'll just do it quick because Mopsy says, whoa, sweet. Let me show you what it looks like real quick. If you got this, right? You've got the chart, right? You've got the chart on your screen. Go click the candle. So here's the last candle. You've got the chart. Here's your lines. Hard to see on the chart a little bit, but and you go play it, right? So here's your open. I know I have it really fast, but just to show you, right? And you're going to be making decisions like, should I be buying here? Should I be buying here? And you get the time. So you're coming into close right here. Here's open coming. Open. Are we buying here? Where are we buying, right? You start to ask yourself, where am I buying? And you see these fucking spreads here. Where am I taking profit here? Am I transitioning? And just go through your thought process, right, of how exactly you'd move through this. Okay, we get stopped over on the line here. We buy is over here somewhere. Okay, we bought. Let's see. We're looking to transition if we have to, right? These things, like, they come. I'm doing it really fast, but you can slow it down, right? And it's just important to be able to see how having this information is so important. It's so important to be able to make these decisions, right? Because without it, and you have, if you just have darkness, it's just darkness, and you're out in the middle of fucking nowhere. You're like interstellaring the shit out of this chart, and you're just floating through space, and you've got no fucking clue where you're going, right? And then, by the way, that's like 20% right there, right? 24%. Looks like 2% on the candles, right? And so, like, your brain's tricking you already. But that's the last point. I will see you guys at the close. Have a good lunch, drink some water, get out of your chair, fix your posture, and I will see you in a little bit. JJR's mentioned spot. Do you spot it yet? Do you see it? Let me know later. I'll see you guys at close.